the military high command. I'm very happy that your cameras have blocked some of your people behind. That is what they always do to us. There are ceremonies. They block our view. You don't even see what is happening. I'm wondering whether you still want to use the term inky fraternity. Because these days, you don't do much of ink work. It's basically IT. And if you see, just look at what is happening. Nobody's writing anything. Everybody is capturing. So maybe, Mr. President, this is free consultation. You can think of and I also want to comment on your black attire. You basically spoke about two main things: the commiseration and then your concern. So the black attire, is it for the commiseration or for the concern? You know how to for the commiseration. But on a more serious note, I want to thank you so much for finding time to be here today. We plan to have a meeting at the senior level, and we wanted to do certain things before we get to this stage. But be that as it may, I see your camera is here, so I may have to say something. I don't want to say this is an ambush, but we didn't really plan to talk about this. Let me acknowledge your condolences and your support. In fact, since the accident happened on 6th of August, a number of your organizations, your media networks, many of them have reached out to us as an institution and as individuals, sending your words of sympathy and assuring us of your support and your prayers. We thank you for that. We also want to thank those of you who have used your platforms to really manage the incident such that it has accorded the due respect that our fallen heroes deserve. Losing 2 cabinet ministers, 3 government officials at the highest level, and an air crew of 3 on a single day is not a very good news at all. In fact, for the past week, the entire forces have been in a state of mourning. And we wish that this had not happened. We had a very vibrant Minister for Defense who had plans to transform the Ghana Armed Forces. Together with the Military High Command, we had strategized and we knew that we were going to unfold something new for the armed forces that belongs to all of us as a country. But as nature will have it, as the saying goes, death lays its icy hands on kings. So that is what we experienced. Let me address the first concern as to the fact that we have not been very proactive in terms of our communication. Investigations into aircraft accidents of this nature takes time. Probably for what we are referring to, when incidents like this happen, the initial communication that comes up has to do with the passengers and where their relatives must go to seek for information. But the initial communication cannot delve into the accidents. In our case, we were very sure of who was on board. Their relatives had been contacted. And so that aspect of updating the family was not an issue for us. In terms of the recovery exercise itself, this is one of the fastest recovery exercises involving helicopter in our country. The last time that we had a similar incident in the Chiwa forest, it took us 3 days to get to the accident scene. In our case, when we suspected that something might have happened to the aircraft, it took us additional 30 minutes for us to apply the known protocols to see where the aircraft was. Because once an aircraft loses communication, it doesn't mean that it has crashed. It could be flying very low, out of radar. It could be weather condition, or it could be mechanical. So after 30 minutes, once we realized that we were still not making progress, then we initiated what we call the rescue efforts, because we still didn't know whether there were casualties. But subsequently, based on information we got from some of the locals around that area, we had to change that rescue effort to a recovery effort. So the closest military post at that time was the team that had gone to secure the helipad to receive the team, to receive the helicopter. And they were as far as Obuasi. It took them some time to get to the scene. By that time, the locals who were at the scene had already started interfering with the crime scene. What I can add is that our team from Kumasi got there on time. They had to find their way to the crash site, which was about over 800 feet above sea level. Basically a high ground. Together with once they got there, the medical team was also following up with everything that they needed, just in case they were survivors. At the team site, our personnel did whatever they would do. It was getting very late. The place had been sealed off. And I'll not use the word cordon off because we didn't even know the extent to which the wreckage had dispersed. As I speak today, every day, the personnel on the ground keep expanding the search because we don't know exactly where all the wreckage, the bits and parts of the aircraft might be. Let me just run it up by saying that we had to do the recovery effort with the available and appropriate material we have on the ground. We had some body bags at the scene, but the remains were so heated that it was not conducive for the bags to be used. It was in a thick forest, it was getting late. We had the option of leaving our remains there till the following day, and we know what could have happened to the bodies. So the team that was up there assessing the situation decided to use available material they could lay hands on to start to descend the high ground. At the foot of the hill, they met the medical team, and with the body bags that they had, some of which have been also sent from Anglo Gold Ashanti, they kept our fallen heroes in those bags decently. He kept them in ambulances and sent them to Kumasi, where they were kept in coffins and dragged in national colors, befitting their status as patriots of this country. Subsequently, we moved them to Accra, and you saw the kind of reception that was arranged for them back in Accra. Let me say that all these things were done hurriedly. So there might have been some mistakes.